Hello everybody. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time and allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mel Jones and I am from Zimbabwe. Here you can see a map of Zimbabwe with Bulawayo shown on the map. And now here is a map of Africa showing Zimbabwe as a landlocked country in sub-Saharan Africa, and we're just here north of South Africa. So I have a question. Have you ever met a superhero? And if so, who is your favorite and why? Maybe your superhero wears a cape or has super strength and speed or can outsmart a villain. Well, I have a secret. In Zimbabwe, I have the privilege of knowing and working with many superheroes, and mine do so much more. You see, my superheroes don't just appear in a crisis and then fly away. No, mine get up, shower, and show up every single day, no matter what. Instead of capes, they wear smiles and kindness, courage and patience. They work tirelessly to make a real difference to the lives of those around them, and by doing so, make the world a much better place. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce you to a few of these superheroes that I have the privilege of calling my friends. Here is a team picture with Jill and Aileen, the people who run this operation, and some of the grooms. Yes, there's horses as well, and the horses too are part of our superhero team. So who are they? Well, it's Healing with Horses. And you may ask, who or what is Healing with Horses? Healing with Horses is an organization that seeks to bring physical and/or emotional healing and strength to communities in Zimbabwe through assisted equine therapy. In other words, this is therapy using horses. You see, for us to get up in the morning and get ready for the day is no big deal. Most of us have bodies and brains that function normally. But for someone who has a physical disability, such as cerebral palsy or paralysis, or perhaps autism, life can be incredibly challenging. Not only do they have the physical or mental challenges, but in Zimbabwe, social challenges too. The challenge of being avoided, and in Zimbabweans' cases, often being outcasts from their communities because they have been seen to be cursed. Sadly, people in Zimbabwe who are disabled are very severely marginalized. They are seen as a burden to their community and are often cast out and abandoned. There is very little to no help or assistance given by our state. I have the utmost respect for people with disabilities. It takes incredible amounts of energy and courage to accomplish even the simplest tasks, things that we would often take for granted. Well, that is where equine-assisted therapy comes in. I would love to share just a few of the stories of the people for whom Healing with Horses team have made a difference. Please know that for the privacy and protection reasons of the children, the names of the children have all been changed. Meet Shirley. Shirley came to Healing with Horses at the age of 20 months old. She could not hold up her head, or roll over, or sit, and she was completely nonverbal. But after just 4 sessions of just 1 hour each, she could sit, and she could roll over, and she could hold up her head. Shirley is now 5. She can speak and write and ride a tricycle, and this year she started school. Isn't this child amazing? Meet one of the first children that I ever met when at Healing with Horses. This is Peter. Peter had been a fit and healthy 14-year-old. He would walk several miles from his rural home to school every day. He loved running and playing soccer, until one day on his way to school, he stepped on a downed power line. Yes, Peter is lucky to be alive, but he lost both his arms and legs. It is hard to believe that a downed power lines could be stepped on, let alone by a child who was walking to school. But relying just on his torso to hold him, he decided to get on the back of a horse. It became his favorite activity of the week, and I think his smile tells its own story. This incredible man now runs his own bus company. What about Susan? Susan was rescued at 16 months old. She was found locked in a back room. Once a day, food would be thrown through an opening for her. Believed to be bewitched or cursed at birth, she was left in darkness without love or touch. She was isolated and abandoned instead of being loved and cherished and protected. Susan was brought to a children's home that was specifically for abused girls. She was terrified of everything. Anything that was within reach was automatically put into her mouth. Understandably, she was nonverbal. The staff at the home were desperate. They didn't know where to start. But who would? Well, in come our superheroes. Every week, Susan was taken to Healing with Horses. For 6 months, she bit, fought, and kicked at every interaction with other human beings. But at every session, she was met with consistent kindness, patience, gentleness, and care. In just 6 months, she was a completely different child. Every day, she would begin asking to go to riding. When she got on a horse, she didn't want to get off. Today, she speaks clearly. She is gentle and happy, a child living something of a normal life. None of this would have been possible if it wasn't for this program and these superheroes. What about David? David, who came to Healing with Horses as a toddler. It took 18 months before they could even get a helmet on his head. David is autistic and was completely nonverbal. Fear ruled his world. He came to Healing with Horses twice a week. Look at David today. You see, from fear to joy, from inability to strength, life skills, confidence, and friends are just a few of the gifts that Healing with Horses gives. Friends, this is just a few of the lives that have been touched and transformed by this incredible program. Presently, Healing with Horses serves 150 children a week. Every single one of these children has a story. Every child faces different situations and challenges. Every child is met with the same empathy, kindness, and help. But there is more. More than 50% of the horses in this program are also rescues. Horses that have in the past been abandoned or abused or simply neglected because they are no longer valuable for the original intended purpose, now being repurposed to a much greater and more noble cause. But let me give you some background. For those of you who don't know, Zimbabwe has been through a period of history second to none. In a brief timeline, from British rule to civil war to gain independence between 1972 to 1980. At independence in 1980, the Zimbabwean dollar was stronger than the British pound. Life looked promising, and by 1990, Zimbabwe boasted many things. We had the best infrastructure in Africa, the highest literacy rate and education in Africa. We were considered to be the breadbasket of Africa, exporting beef, cotton, tobacco, and gold, just to name a few. We boast one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, the beautiful and amazing Victoria Falls. But sadly, by 2002, our economy was in free fall. It would take me a whole day to explain the very complex details of all that was involved. But basically, we went from being the breadbasket of Africa to needing 85% food aid. Our exports stopped overnight. Our tourism came to a standstill. Our economy imploded. By 2008, sadly, we boasted of other things. The highest inflation in the world. Empty shelves, shortages, people lined up for days just to get 20 liters of gas. Hospitals closed. And our greatest export? Our people. By the end of 2009, our currency had changed 5 times, and our biggest note was 100 trillion. It wouldn't even buy a loaf of bread. In 2010, the economy stabilized with the legalization of the US dollar. But in 2018, sadly, everything was sabotaged again. It is a long story, but the powers that be reintroduced a Zimbabwean currency, known as the bond note. They promised that the currency would remain at a value of 1 Zimbabwe dollar to 1 US. But just 5 years on, and we're sitting at 4,500 to 1. You see, it is near impossible to run a business of any kind in Zimbabwe, and those who do are either totally corrupt or indestructible. And it is in this context that these ladies operate a 40-horse-strong, 13-employed staff-run program. Quite honestly, I don't know how they do it. We have 400% inflation and 65% unemployment. Long power outages and water shortages are the norm. Our inflation in US terms is over 25%. The energy it takes just to live a normal day is crazy, let alone running a high-needs operation like this. I'm not sure if Jill and Aileen sleep, because they do everything, from managing a farm, organizing feed, running a home, doing accounts, exercising horses, and teaching lessons. I'm not even sure that they have time to think. But every day, they show up and love the kids in front of them. The real question is, how long can they keep going? Even with some volunteers, every day feels nothing short of a miracle. But like every good story with a happy ending, the heroes come under pressure, and suddenly, as if out of nowhere, new heroes arrive and the impossible is achieved. Right now, we need other superheroes. We need you. Every day, Jill and Aileen hope that riding will happen, but some days it can't. Children with conditions like CP cannot be exposed to cold wind, and some days it rains. But we would so love to see every child have the opportunity to get this vital help, come rain or shine. They wish that they could help more kids, but they simply don't have the means. If it wasn't for a few faithful donors and volunteers, this program would already be in the grave. But I know that you can see that that's not where it belongs. So we would love to invite you, our friends and the friends of Healing with Horses, to join us as we help others. So you may ask, what can I do and how can I help? So let's break it down. Right now, our current and most immediate need is the goal to fund 150 children at $150 each per month, so that any child who needs equine assisted services can get it. Every child and person is valuable, and we believe that by assisting the most vulnerable people in our society, we are able to change a mindset, give people hope, and help to raise a new and better generation. Right now, our monthly budget and operating expenses are $23,000 a month. Our annual budget is $276,000 a year. Our longer-term capital goals would be an indoor arena and a bus with a wheelchair lift. For anyone who would like to give financially, Healing with Horses does have a 501c3 account in the US, and donations that are made can be tax deductible. All money that is given will be receipted, acknowledged, and accounted for. There are so many ways that you can help. You can like and share our social media pages, Healing with Horses Zimbabwe. Or you can help to spread the word, host a dinner, sponsor a golf day, have a bake sale, and make Healing with Horses the focus. Do you love to travel? Why not vacation with a purpose? Come and visit or volunteer. There is so much to see and do. And so, I have barely scratched the surface, and there is so much more to tell you. We are available to answer any questions via email, and our phone numbers are listed. And so, I have barely scratched the surface, and there is so much more to talk about and to tell you. Should you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And so, from the Healing with Horses team in Zimbabwe, thank you and God bless.